How many times have we been told that big tech will save us?
Well, Apple and Google are teaming up to work on technology to help reduce the spread of coronavirus.
Multiple states here in the U.S. have expressed interest.
Contact tracing apps are the latest big tech quick fix that companies like Apple and Google claim will flatten the curve. But when we looked into it, we found contact tracing apps aren't just overhyped. They actually pose really troubling questions about privacy, security, and even the potential for abuse. So here's what you need to know. Contact tracing apps are big tech's answer to physical contact tracing. The idea is pretty straightforward. Basically, contact tracing apps work by keeping tabs on where everyone is at all times. When a user finds out that they're sick, the app is supposed to notify others who are in the same area at the same time, or provide your location data to health officials. Again, that's how it's supposed to work. There are two types of contact tracing apps. Contact tracing apps work by either logging your location or the smartphones that crossed your path. Location-based contact tracing apps use GPS and Wi-Fi signals to log a user's location. The problem? They're not exactly precise. According to users, the apps log garbage data and are prone to a lot of inaccuracies. For example, there's basically zero chance you've come into contact with or infected a stranger sitting in a car, especially if they were stopped at a red light 60 meters away and you were sitting in your apartment eating a bag of Doritos or something. And yet, some location-based contact tracing apps could register that as a hit. In contrast, proximity-dependent apps, hyped by Apple and Google, use Bluetooth to guess who you've interacted with. Google and Apple actually have a new API update allowing Bluetooth integration between iOS and Android devices. That's why we expect many more contact tracing apps will use this in the near future. However, keeping Bluetooth enabled at all times sets you up to be tracked and hacked. And that's before you even download a contact tracing app. Experts also say apps using Bluetooth are likely to be cluttered with false positives. Think people physically separated by walls, like you and your potentially annoyingly loud neighbor. These errors could actually make things harder for the flesh and blood contact tracers who are relying on that data to do their jobs. Of course, it gets even worse. Contact tracing apps are designed to keep a record of either your location or personal contacts, which makes them inherently invasive. Who has access to this data, and how is it secured against abuse? Privacy experts have already warned of things like potential government surveillance and even false reporting of COVID-19 outbreaks by trolls. If people are rightly worried about who has access to all of that personal data, then they might not download the apps, which would make them essentially useless. While the apps are supposed to make contact tracing scalable, there's a real chance they'll fail at that and just make data abuse more likely. Many of the technologists behind contact tracing apps are well-intentioned. They're looking for a way to beat this virus. But inaccurate contact tracing apps can introduce a ton of bad data into an already overloaded system. That'll make things worse for the very real human contact tracers just trying to do their jobs. It would be a mistake to think contact tracing apps riddled with technical, ethical, and implementation challenges are going to make any real differences in the near to medium term. In other words, when it comes to the coronavirus, no app is coming to save you. The sooner we recognize this and act accordingly, the better off we'll all be.